Hey everyone, Gabe Weaver, Senior Product Manager for the Project Management Group within the plan stage of GitLab, talking to you all about 13.2 and what we hope to drop in the upcoming release. So nothing huge has changed since our major focus is in 13.1. We want to continue iterating on iterations, pun intended. And where we got mostly in 13.1 was the ability to create an iteration, the ability to associate issue to it, and a very rudimentary issue list view within the iteration report itself. Our long-term goal is to get to something kind of more closer to this, where the top is actually going to have some stats that are broken down about completion percentage. You'll be able to toggle your charts and your complete percentage by weight, count, or time, as teams use different units to do estimations. And by toggling on to this different unit, we'll automatically update the charts. And then the other thing is this group by functionality. So we will be able to group by label, group by assignee. Also, if you're in the parent group, you'll be able to group by projects, and is a way to kind of dissect that. And different from how milestones work, we're actually want to show the iteration report downstream. So if I'm in a subgroup or a sub project that has issues associated to an iteration that originated in the topmost group, we want to show slices of that report view within each of those contexts. And the reason for this is, like, as a team, you might have permissions and access to projects or to a subgroup, but not to the parent group, but you still want to track your own project progress against your contribution to that iteration that's at the group level. So this will provide some nice flexibility to allow teams to share a similar cadence, stay in the context of their project or their group where they work and where they do all their planning, and view the report view without having to navigate out. Based on what we learned from this and feedback we get from this sort of like approach and some of the changes we're making from the UI and the report view, we're going to also backport this to the milestone and iterate on the milestone report view to have the same characteristics that we're doing on the iteration report view. So I'm not sure how far we'll be able to get in 13.2, but we've kind of broken down to all these little different iterations that we can take on it. And we've targeted specifically the burnout chart, toggling metrics, and then showing the iteration report via that inheritance model that I just talked about. Other things in terms of themes, we want to focus on some quality of life improvements ongoing. I think this is where issues and a lot of the artifacts within plan, and specifically the project management group, need some love. I think Sid mentioned in his AMA that we are doing great at building new features that have a great user experience, but we're not doing so great at iterating on things that existed before we had all of the support we have from product designers and UX researchers. So one of the things that we want to do is make it so that you can remove a label with a single click. Right now it's kind of clumsy. You have to like open the dropdown, you have to search for the thing you want to remove and then select it. Here, we just want to make it so that you can remove a label with an X and one click. This should make it easy to remove things and then pop open the edit view whenever you want to add labels. Another quality of life improvement that we're working towards is whenever I'm creating an epic within another epic, you can't specify what subgroup you want it to belong to. And you also can't move epics right now. So as a first iteration, when you create a new epic from within an existing epic, you can select a target subgroup that you want to more or less assign that to or create that within. So that way it will automatically roll back up into the epic that I'm looking at. But you can also say if there's a subgroup that doesn't have permissions or access up into your top level group, they can still see that sub-epic within their own subgroup without having to have access to the parent group. So good flexibility there, especially as a lot of folks are starting to do more top-down planning. Another thing that we want to focus on, and hopefully we can get to, is improving the label management across groups, subgroups, and projects. So the basic problem right now is if I have top-level group labels and I'm in a project it's deeply nested, I can't see any of those labels in my label list, and I end up duplicating them. I can't make those labels prioritize labels within my project because I can't see them. So that's the first thing we want to solve here is show all inherited labels within a given group, subgroup, and project label list. But really, the gist of what this is going for is there should only ever be one label with the same name within any hierarchy on groups, subgroups, projects. So that's basically the goal, right? There's no reason why you need two to-do labels. And so there's just a couple validations that we're showing here about what that's going to look like. We're going to still kind of talking through a few of the ways that we might want to show the canonical location of labels and where they originate from as they're inherited down the tree. So making a few decisions there, but we have enough to at least get started from an engineering standpoint. This also kind of goes hand in hand with something that I wasn't super fond of initially, but I kind of saw a lot is make it easier to get started with issue boards. And that's done by just making it so that you have default lists of to do and doing instead of prompting them with the decision of should I create my own list or should I use the default list? We're just going to go ahead and use the default list. And the reason why, if you want to read and catch up on it, I actually read an article on Hacker News a couple weeks ago that just talked about some of the pain points with project management as a whole, and things like arguing about if it's a bug, like what is a real bug, what's not a bug, and I think you can get into the process where you talk about what's our workflow and let's design this elegant workflow, but that doesn't really matter because what's most important is what's my relative priority of all the things that I have in my queue and making sure that that's kind of in place. And so I think it is great if we can make it a little bit more difficult for people to add more complex workflows, but not impossible. So I think the 2 extra clicks to remove lists you don't want is better than the 1 click that you could make to shoot yourself in the foot and make a more complex workflow before you need to. So that's that. And then the last thing we'll be working on is continued progress towards the swim lanes MVC, Epic swim lanes that we're doing with portfolio management. And I hope we get to launch that in 13.2. Super excited about it. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, you can always find this issue publicly, gitlab.org, plan project, issue 104. Thanks.